So I wanted to do something different with my weekend videos, instead of just the normal ones I kind of been doing. So why not? I was doing a long time ago breaking down every year my top 10 movies every year, and I continued doing that going forward, but I quit doing it going back because they just weren't getting views and everything. So I ended up stopping. So I wanted to do maybe what my actual top movies of all time, top my list all the time. These are movies that I watch probably at least twice, if not more, a year. These are like my go-to movies. They're not in any particular order. They're just these are my top movies that I consider my favorites of all time. So I picked out 15, and here they are. So starting it off, let's start with Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. I mean, this is where my name that I use for YouTube actually stems from. Is the Ace part of it? Is because I was a big Ace Ventura fan. I was a big Jim Carrey fan. Loved all his movies, but this one was just phenomenal. I love it. I always go back to it. Another one that I always go back to and always watch, like I said, a couple times a year, is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This is by far one of my favorite Arnold movies. This movie was fantastic, was a great thing, awesome thing back in 1991. I loved it. It made me love the franchise. I loved Terminator 1 as well, but this one right here gave the action and just everything that they did in this film, the marketing and everything that they did was just phenomenal. And then Aliens. Aliens actually wasn't one of my favorites when it first came out, and it took a long time for this to become one of my favorites. But it is definitely one of my ones I go to now. I do watch this multiple times in the year. Just because if it's just a movie I want to put on, I can watch it, and it doesn't, I don't have to skip scenes or anything like that. And it's fantastic in my opinion, and one of the best sci-fi movie, one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. Along with this one, of course, Predator, another Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Man, I remember going in 1987 and going to the theater to see this. My mom and dad took me. 87 was just a phenomenal year to begin with, but went and seen this in theaters. Loved it from the very get-go. I loved the action and everything. I had the 3D version. That's the one I prefer to watch as well for this film. And this is probably my top movie of all my movies. It really is. Like I said, 1987 was just a fucking great year, and we got RoboCop that same year, and I remember I loved the fucking poster when it came out. The poster was awesome. The movie was awesome. I try not to remember that reboot that came out, but yeah, that's where it is. And of course, at the same time in '87, I was a big He-Man fan. So Masters of the Universe was, even though this movie isn't a great movie, it's got that nostalgia feeling every time I watch it, and it's one that I put on because I loved it as a kid. Speaking of being, what I was as a kid in 1990, I was a big fan, when this one came out, I was a big fan of Ninja Turtles at the time. And to see it live action was a phenomenal, was awesome. And this movie, yeah, it is dated, but it is still one that I can put on and just fucking enjoy, laugh my ass off at a lot of the scenes, feel like a kid again when I'm watching Ninja Turtles. So yeah, that's definitely one of my top ones. And then of course, who can forget if you were alive in '89 and everything surrounding Batman of that summer, that fucking summer of movies in 1989 was phenomenal, led by this fucking movie. This is a movie I put on every June 23rd because of the fact of that's the day Batman came out in '89. I remember going to the theater and watching this and just being blown the fuck away. I loved it. It was my first superhero movie I think I really watched, and it was really great. Probably now we're going to go right into one of my favorite Christmas movies, and it was one of my favorite action movies as well growing up because it was one my dad always used to have on, which was Die Hard. It didn't have to be Christmas or anything like that. It doesn't have to be. I mean, yes, it's now considered type a Christmas movie, but it's just a fucking great action movie, and I got to enjoy going to the theater to watch this a few years ago with my friend Robert, and it was just phenomenal to watch it on the screen. Also in 1990, we had the Tremors movie. Now, this movie isn't really big. Didn't do that great in theaters and everything. But the thing is, I love this movie. It was so fun. And it's a type of horror movie that I just enjoyed. And I like Kevin Bacon and Damn, I can't think of the other guy's name right off the bat, right off my head. But I mean, just I love it. It's one that I go back to all the damn time. And then of course we got 1993. We got Jurassic Park. That was a huge thing back in '93 with this movie. I mean, the whole dinosaurs and everything, and it's just a great movie just to put on, enjoy. It's an action, popcorn flick movie, and it was great. The first one is always the most fantastic one. This is another one I will put the 3D version in and watch it. I love it. So yeah, and speaking of movies that were big at the time, 1996's Independence Day. Oh my God, that movie just was great. I remember going to the theater. I think it was the day it came out, and it was just being blown away by it and everything. Of course, Will Smith, coming, he was an up and coming actor at the time. Just loved him at the time because I loved it, him in Bad Boys, Fresh Prince, and everything. And just who can ever forget the president's speech in this? I mean, just so this is a movie I put on every Independence Day for sure. Back to the Future, of course, I grew up with this as well, but I grew up more with the second one and the third one, but the third one's not that great. I don't really care for the third one. The second one, yes, is one of the better, is good. I like it, but the first one is just fantastic, very well written. I was like 4 when it came out, so I grew up with it later, a little bit later, but still, just a phenomenal movie. Hopefully they never fucking remake it or anything like that, because it's just great on its own. And of course we have Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice was always I loved it ever since it came out. It was neat. It was a great Halloween film to put on all the time. Every year, this is one of the ones I always watch. I put it on. I can't wait for the sequel this year. As you could tell if you watch some of my Beetlejuice videos, definitely one I'm looking forward to by far. And last on this list is Speed. It was one that I kind of just threw in here, and it is definitely a movie I go back and watch a lot. I remember watching this all the way back in '94, and it was just a fun action movie to put on. I would say Avengers: Infinity War is the most clearest new one on my list. But I want to know what your top films, guys, are. Leave it in the comment box below. Like I said, I really want to hear what your top films are of all time. If you're not subscribed, I'm going to subscribe to the channel, guys. Till next time.